Okay, we started streaming right on the boob jiggle, so that's pretty good luck, I guess. So we resume the game now. And will bring us back to the last save point, or not. No, 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 no. Oh, I guess if you choose the option resume game, it loads from like the last stage that you have actually completed, like save file wise. Whatever, I'm just gonna then pick from the menu. Alrighty. So this is... No. Okay, I believe this is the right one. This is the second one that was available. Now, interesting thing about the pillars, you can arrange yourself, and then when you press the jump button, it will jump you in that position, or regardless of where you're arranged, if you press the direction and then jump, she will just phase through it and jump in that direction. You know, because she's Lara Croft and she can do that.
So when we were first setting up what kind of levels, what kind of areas we wanted to go for, Incan areas obviously, one of the big civilizations that people are very aware of and so forth. At the time, the actual Vilcabamba itself hadn't been discovered when we made TR1. It was literally was a lost city of legend where the Incans disappeared to, and the Spanish supposedly didn't get to it. I mean, actually, I think that the current theory is the Spaniards did find it and killed everybody in there. But anyway, so by the time it comes to a remake, they've actually found Vilcabamba. It doesn't look anything like this for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah.
Yeah, when we came to sort of remake this village area, one of the things that was interesting was when Toby was like, we're going to remake the village, and everybody was like, there's a village? Where? And I think it was sort of one of the things in TR1, just because of the way they built it, it's sort of the fact that there was this village where everyone lived was sort of unclear. So we really wanted to sort of reinterpret the idea of there being a village to sort of clarify that to the user that, oh, look, it's actually a town and a civilization, and there are these little huts. So we sort of kept the individual areas that were in there the same, but we completely relaid it all out and made a big wide open space in the middle where you could sort of see everything all at once and get the real sense that there was a civilization that lived in this area.
Hold on for a second, I need to check something just to make sure, because I think I may have picked the wrong stage. Let me see. Yeah, no, City of Vilcabamba is correct. It's just that when you level select, it actually skips a certain part of it. Like there is an introductory part where they actually explain the mechanic that we've just used, which is that you dodge away from an enemy, and then you can one-hit kill them. They don't explain that if you level select, which I guess makes sense, but it's just weird that they don't show that part of the stage. Because there usually is like a like a little walking area right as you enter the stage. That isn't quite the stage yet. because when you're playing normally, I guess I will show it later. Um, there is like all the stages are connected with each other, so you literally just like walk from one to the next after you get the status screen that tells you completed the stage. She curious. Is there anything? No. Oh, also something I always loved. Something I always loved about the sound design in this game. When you probably can't really hear that as well, but like whenever you pick. Oh, I can't pick up these. Wait, okay, interesting. I already have all of the weapons. Okay. I guess because I chose level select. I don't feel bad about that. I guess that's one of the perks of level select. Oh, that's actually another thing that I wanted to mention about the way they put together this game as opposed to how the original was. In the original, you had practically no limit when it came to... there was practically no limit when it came to how much ammo you could carry on yourself. And they actually changed that to have an item limit for your ammo, which at first you may think, well, that's bad because now I can't carry as much ammo. But the problem in the original Tomb Raider was that there wasn't enough incentive for you to actually use other weapons other than the unlimited machine guns, because, well, they were unlimited. So it's like, why would you bother to use any other weapon?
Yeah.
And especially with how terrible the combat was in the first Tomb Raider, the object of combat wasn't really to like outmaneuver enemies and outmaneuver enemies. It was really just to find an elevated area where they couldn't get up to, and then just murder them standing there and just auto.
So this was sort of the exit from the town proper into the more depths of the cave that this Incan civilization had built.
It was one of those spots in the original TO1 where I'm a big fan of sort of symmetric level design, because people generally, when they're building architecture, tend to be fairly symmetric about their efforts. It gives you interesting ability to sort of reuse the idea of a space but change it based on the amount of ruin that's going on inside it. So I like that repeat, and the two-towered gateway into the Lost Valley was one of those spots.
Yeah, and we kept that essentially the same. The only thing I think we changed is we actually have physics in the game now, which they didn't have in TR1, so we made the opening of the door done by Laura's physical interaction with the lock pieces themselves.
Also, what they don't mention in the commentary is that this section was kind of bullshit in that regard, where you could fuck yourself over permanently, if I recall correctly. Because all of the platforms in this platforming section that we just passed on the PlayStation were how do you say that? They crumble and they don't reappear, because of course they don't reappear because the game was just sort of, you know, trying to be realistic. But that essentially just meant that you had one try. And because they put water, at the bottom, you didn't even die when you fell. It's just like you got to retry it, but you couldn't actually retry it, which was kind of bogus.
Yeah.
But yeah, in this one there are crumbling platforms. However, they always make sure that that they will either kill you if you fail them, or that they will either kill you if you fail them, or if you happen to like make them crumble, you can still pass through them, just less efficiently. Because this game checkpoints you all the time. So making things impossible to progress through would be very, you know, counterproductive. Oh, and you may see that piece of ammo over there and be like, oh, I want to get that piece of ammo. You don't really want to get that piece of ammo because there is a wall hiding in there. Also, unlike the original, where they sort of assume that you have already mastered the controls by the time that you're playing the game. In this one, they do play tutorials even if you have already, even once you have already started the game. So they don't force you to actually do the manor level. You don't have to do that, but you can, and it's very advisable because, well, it's a fun stage. That's one thing, and it also just lets you learn the controls without having to risk getting impaled.
Huh.
There is, however, one like sort of caveat to the way they've redone the controls to make them more like user-friendly. Lara's jumps are sort of inconsistent. Like, this is the best example. Like, look at how far she can jump here for no goddamn reason. When you compare it to like her standard jump of like whenever there is nothing to be attached to, just like she does a tiny bunny hop. She can do moon jumping when she needs to, but otherwise, like, eh. Oh, and also the PS3 version is very confusing about its saving, because in every other version it just how would you put it? There was sort of like the game had its own saving system, but the PS3 version uses the standardized PS3 saving like every single game. Oh, it doesn't let me continue like that. Okay, I guess I'm just gonna have to select every single stage like this. So next one is Lost Valley. Wait, I should actually open the... There we go. There ain't nobody here. So yeah, this is actually a stage where they start you off exactly where you stop. Because the title card, which goes like, ding, and it tells you the name of the stage. Is like right there. Alara, could you please like aim for the goddamn motherfucking wall? There we go.
So waterfall area, basically entranceway essentially to the Lost Valley, was definitely one of the more memorable bits. I think that people. It's one of many places in TR1 where the obsession with putting things behind waterfalls was played around with. I like this idea of looking behind waterfalls. Oh, wow, that's pretty bizarre, isn't it? So we actually hid the main temple, where you're actually trying to get to is physically behind the waterfall. So the progression takes you beyond the point where you actually end up, if you see what I mean, into an area with more waterfalls.
That's right. With secrets behind them too, actually.
That's the way. That's exactly the way, right? Yes.
Yeah, it was really interesting when we went back and remade this area. We built it really close to the original scale of the room in Tomb Raider 1 the first time, and everybody that played it thought that the waterfall was too small. And it sort of gets at the point that when we're remaking something that people sort of are remembering playing, that their memory of it's different than the actual game. And so we ended up making the waterfall a lot bigger than it was originally, to live up to people's expectations of what it should be. Strangely enough, this is actually one of the areas that I remember the most from Tomb Raider 1, was jumping back and forth across this river.
It was wanting to ramp sort of the, because we didn't have nice save systems. Pretty much, if you died, you're going to be playing at least almost half a level, right, to get back to where you were. So jumping across the waterfall was just a way to sort of be kinder with the reset. So if you fell down the hole, basically it just dropped you into the waterfall. It's kind of like a little white water rafting ride, and it's sort of spectacular, and that was it. Which I suppose is different now, because it's actually kind of crueler now to do that, because with save points being so liberally scattered around, like having to actually ride all the way down the waterfall back into the original area is more of a punishment than just dropping people onto spikes.
That's right, because we made the traversal up the waterfall so much more intricate now. It is a little bit crueler. Yeah, it adds to the tension.
It does.
And at the end of the cog puzzle, which we obviously changed, but still left a little homage to the end of the passage up above the waterfall, ends with a wall with cogs on it, which was the site of the original puzzle.
Yeah.
But we've henceforth moved it into the waterfall area itself.
Yeah, because in the original game, you like the object of this level is to collect several cogs in order to activate a machine at the waterfall. And in the original game, you could spend like a long time like getting to the end of the waterfall because it was kind of difficult, and you could still like like there was no way for you to know like where you were supposed to be going, or rather what the objective of this stage was, or rather how many you had to collect. And yeah, like you could get to the end of the waterfall and only have one of the cogs that you need, and then be like, shit, I'm gonna have to get back here again. So instead, all of the cogs are now, like the puzzle itself is now located in like the main area here. Like the pieces. Yeah, there are walls, but I don't care. Like this puzzle has now been arranged in here, and you just put the cogs in several areas and it activates different parts of the puzzle, allowing you to get to places you couldn't before. And we have another one here. And there's only one left. We gotta go find some dinosaurs in order to get that one. Oh, curiously, in the PSP version of this game, which is for the most part the exact copy of this, except for, well, the graphics being slightly downgraded, but not by much. They actually changed this puzzle where they put the like pillars that you climb instead of this rope that you swing, which is a little bit bizarre because otherwise, like, all the rope swinging puzzles are still in that version of the game as well. So it's not like a mechanic that was removed from the PSP version. Okay, then this place is gonna have a bear that we are not gonna be dealing with. Reason why we are not dealing with the bear is because the combat in this game is not the best. Even if it's better than how it was in the PlayStation version of the game, it still doesn't make it good. Like, it's intentionally, I believe it's just made to be intentionally sort of awkward, but compared to the original, they also make a lot less of it. Like, let's put it this way, it feels like all the combat encounters feel really chaotic. And it very much feels like you have barely any control over what's going on. There is one particular boss fight that I absolutely despise for that reason. But we'll burn that bridge when we get there. It's still not for a while. Fuck off, Max. Also, something else I remember from the original. The bats were some of the most annoying enemies in the game because what they would do is they would attach themselves to your face, more or less, and then you couldn't really shoot them down. Like you can, like you normally can with, say, the bats that are here right now in this version. Also, stuff like feedback on like when enemies get hit and whatnot is awkward at best.
The Lost Valley is probably the most memorable part of Tomb Raider 1.
I need to get this one first.
The Lost Valley is probably the most memorable part of Tomb Raider 1. And it's really funny because listening to people talk about it, a lot of people remember it being in a cave. And that was because you had really bad draw distance and it just sort of went out to black fog.
Well, pretty much we only had one fog color, which was black.
Black.
So, we couldn't actually, even though we wanted to have sort of an open top, we couldn't really do it. I think actually it's black at the top, so it's as if it was nighttime or something, I suppose. But it was supposed to be an outside area.
And now it really is.
Yeah, but it looks a lot better.
That's what you're supposed to do. There. I'm really disappointed that you can't really hit multiple enemies at once with the shotgun. It really makes the shotgun feel less powerful. Lara, could you please like aim for the gigantic... One disadvantage there is to me playing the game as I'm... Fuck you, Lara! Just aim! Aim! The way I am playing it right now is I do not have access to like the healths that I have amassed. Like you don't. Damn it. That was too close. You don't have access to all of the health that you have collected over time, because you basically get the most from not using it from previous stages, and when replaying stages, you basically start off with nothing. Also, oh damn it. You can actually, thank you. You can actually also damage the Tyrannosaurus into any wall. It's just less efficient. Fuck off! I dodged that! Fuck it, it doesn't seem to make any difference. I dodged that, you... Okay, I didn't dodge that. Why didn't it count? Why didn't that count? Yeah, I get it. doing it like way earlier than normally. And there. And now let's just collect the stuff and listen to the commentary.
So yeah, T-Rex in the original, that was probably the most memorable bit for a lot of people, I think.
Absolutely.
It was one of the early 3D games, and having that guy hove out the darkness at you, out the draw distance, was pretty frightening. And it was a lot of fun animating, because it was pretty much an instant death situation if you were underneath his mouth. He just bit down and shook you about like a little terrier or something, shaking out. His little toy. Little legs would fly everywhere, and then he'd spit you on the ground, and it was all part of the fun. That kind of was the basis for always making Lara's deaths as horribly cruel and painful looking as possible in the first game.
And now, he's back, and he's a good deal bigger than he was. And that sort of goes back to what we talked about a little bit earlier, which was that people's memory of things is different than what it was. We made the T-Rex originally about half the size he is now, and ended up having to double him in size to sort of ramp up the feel and the intensity and make him scary and everything still. So now he's ginormous. He's a humongous T-Rex, way bigger than a real T-Rex would have actually been.
Right, but that's all right. And then obviously adding in the kind of concept that you use the environment against him instead of just shooting him, because that was always the problem with the TR1 bosses, was that we didn't have time to really do anything special for the fights against the bigger monsters. It's still just essentially just putting as much lead in them as physically possible, and adding in the environmental stuff to this seemed like the most sensible way to big up that combat.
I'm glad they also acknowledged that the combat in the original game sucked. But to be fair, it was also like 1996 and there were barely any functional games that did combat in 3D. This was actually like original Tomb Raider was one of the very first games to do platforming. It was even, I believe, before or around the exact same time as like Mario 64 and Crash came out. So yeah, lots of this stuff just wasn't quite established yet. Oh, also, this platforming section here has also been changed in the PSP version of this game, simply because it combines the two areas together seamlessly. Like here you can see the area where we fought the Velociraptors, and there you can see the area where we fought the T-Rex. Now on the PSP they had to like make the areas smaller a little bit, or rather no, they didn't have to make areas smaller for the most part, but this was one of the cases where the area was too big to load in one go and to be visible, so they added a cave that that you have to go through before you actually get back to the first area. So any place where both areas were visible all at once, yeah, they weren't there. Now, here I could go down, like jump over there and like collect some more stuff, but that's not gonna be necessary since I don't even get to keep it. And we already have all of the cogs, so all I really need to do is get back to where I was, insert that one last cog, and then it will be stage clear. And that's how Lara ragdolls whenever she gets killed. That's not what I wanted to do, actually. I thought that that was a ledge I could grab. Thankfully, the way this game loads its stages is very efficient. As in, they don't actually load the entire stage in one go. They just load the specific area where you died at. So, for example, the first time you die and you reload from a checkpoint, the wait time is going to be longer than, for example, like if you die the second time in the same area, the wait time will be significantly shorter. Because then it's only loading, like unloading that one spot. What's also very funny is if there is like a trap that constantly makes a noise in where you, oops, if there is a trap that constantly makes a noise in the previous area to the one that you've visited. It will actually stop making the noise because that trap isn't loaded into the level at that moment. So, like, curious little things. The bear is still here, but I'm still not gonna be dealing with him. Yeah, I didn't even wake him up this time. Wolves are still here. And I could actually take them all out from right here. That's something that they never actually taken out from the game. Being able to take out enemies from places that you're not supposed to be fighting them from. The game will tell you that you're like out of range, but it doesn't actually mean anything. It just means that you're less likely to hit them, not that you can't hit them. What? I never had that thing miss, actually. Except for on the final boss. The final boss is bogus. But yeah, this is also a good example of like her bunny hop. Like, she will jump very low until she actually needs to. And now she's dead. No. Sometimes if you time it well, you can just do it all in one go, like I did it the first time, but most of the times you have to use both of the swings. And I'm dead. Why didn't it reload the walls? I've already defeated them. I never had that happen either. Did I break the game by not killing them the first time? Okay, and now that the dam is open, I can actually finish the stage. Oh, and that screen you can't actually like when you save your profile, it doesn't quit. The last valley is what we just finished, so next one is Tomb of Polopek. Again, there was... Oh no, actually it starts you off right here. What was up with the second stage then? Okay, and here we're gonna have one of those Indiana Jones moments. And now we can get in there. What we gotta do is get down from here and move this to more or less this spot, just the tiniest bit away, and then we move this over here. So we can use it as a... Okay. Everything is reloaded. Now this is a tricky, that's like one of the sections where the automatic adjustment for the jumping is automatic adjustment for the jumping does not quite work as well. It's really difficult to assess in this particular puzzle whether you're close enough or not to where you need to be at. Actually, I'm going to disable these because they seem to re-enable themselves on every stage separately. Nice. Oh no, I got rid of like part of the... I still wanted to get up there. Oh well, I can fix it. Somewhat. Okay. This one's gonna go here regardless of anything. So I get it all the way here. And that one I'm actually going to have to adjust. Like so. Because then I can use the I can use that ledge as sort of a stepping stone. That's a little bit too low. No, this is... I think this is fine. Well, it's not OG Lara Croft. It's the remake of the OG Lara Croft. Oh, I can actually still make this. Huh. I was worrying for nothing. And there goes half of my health. And that was a bad shot. I timed this so poorly. They give you the health pack, I guess in case you got hit, but in all honesty, because of how frequent the checkpoints are in this in this game, you're actually better off just getting killed in most instances, and just letting the game revive you. Because whenever you get revived, you get you get all of your HP back. So there is very little reason to recover your health over whatever happened in a like a puzzle scenario, because they will usually just put a recovery point right in front of the puzzle or right after it. But there is a point of doing that during the combat scenarios. Oops. Like, for example, right here. They gave me a checkpoint right over there, so there was no point of me to heal myself. Yeah. There we go. I do own Angel of Darkness. I have yet, I've only ever played the PC version for a bit before I got absolutely fucking frustrated and gave up on it completely. Let me see, is there a thing over there? Yes, there is. There we go. Okay, and now what we gotta do is we gotta take this one over to the other side and make 2 stepping stones. One at the edge of this a whited out part, so just somewhat further over there, and this should be fine. Oops. Yeah, this is all right. You can actually do this one with just one. It's just a very pixel perfect. I know I've done it with one just by complete accident before. Like, I overshot my first stepping stone, but and ended up jumping on the second one first. I want to hear their take on this one.
In the original, earlier on in the level, we had put in a switch over a trapdoor, and you pull the switch, and the trapdoor literally drops you away into some water. So you sort of like go, "Oh, that's so cruel," but then you're in water and it's totally fine. So just sort of to freak you out and give you a bit of a scare. And so what we did this time with this particular room, once you get to the final temple, you pull the switch, because everybody always runs over and pulls switches, and it drops you straight into combat.
Into the wolf den, as it were.
Yeah.
This was one of the rooms that I liked very much and wanted to keep. We talked for a while about possibly not including this area. We were sort of trying to decide what areas to pick from Tomb Raider 1, but was one of my favorite areas because of the cruelty of it all.
Cruelty, yeah.
So I wanted to keep it, and now it's in them. And you too can get owned by wolves. It's good.
All right. I do always like hearing how the creators of this game just wanted to make it, just wanted to be cruel and challenging, but the game is still like so much less frustrating than the original Tomb Raider was. It's not even comparable. Oh yeah, and now there is, I believe, yeah, there is a Velociraptor right over there. So that's your punishment for failing the puzzle, I guess. But it's actually way easier on the way back, because you practically don't gotta deal with any of the spikes from the walls. And now that we have enabled all of these, we can go ahead and claim what we came here for.
Here sits the god King Qualopec, one of the triumvirate, keepers of the 3 pieces of the Scion, diviners of its knowledge, sacred rulers of Atlantis.
I'm actually surprised they didn't put a commentary marker over there, because the sequence, like how that whole thing happened in the original game was completely different. You don't even get a cutscene or anything like that. However, it does serve as a fantastic foreshadowing for the kind of monsters you're going to be fighting later on in the game. Because in that version also, one of the mummies actually like sort of gets up, but falls over immediately. And in the original, it was far more subtle. It wasn't like it could have just like she can aim at it, which is already weird. And it falls over by itself, but it's because the graphics were so poor, it could have been literally anything. You know, it could have just like fallen over by itself.
I'd love
or
to
did
join
it.
you, but I forgot my trucks.
Why am I not surprised?
You got your job, I got mine. I'll take it from here.
I hope Natla sent you here with more than that shotgun.
Don't sweat it, kitten. I prefer a more hands-on approach.
This is only one piece of the Scion. Where's the rest of it?
Give me a minute. I'm thinking. Whoa, makes no difference to me. Pierre's probably already found his piece.
Pierre Dupont. Where?
Now that I don't know.
All right. I'm convinced.
Damn, you really had me going there.
Looks like our girl's pulled it off.
Of course she has. Now it's up to you.
Not that I'm complaining, boss, but what makes you so sure she's not gonna bring it back herself?
Lara would never part with the Scion. She's far too obsessed with it, just like her father. Ah, Monsieur Dupont. You have something to report?
Good news, madame. Your information was correct. I have located my piece of the Scion. Voila! It is buried under a place called...
St. Francis Folly.
Okay. How are you liking the game so far?
Me?
Yes.
Do you want an honest opinion about it?
Yes.
I never liked Tomb Raider. I played it once and I never liked it. Never was. Never did.
Well, I mean, you played the one on the PlayStation 1, so that's a different story.
Yeah, and like the newest one. No, like I never found any game that only has one character in it.
You'd probably like the Tomb Raider Legend then, because she actually has like a team of nerds helping her out.
Probably.
Yeah, that one's also a lot shorter, and yeah, it's like a lot more of an action game compared to this one, which is mostly puzzle platformer. But yeah, would you like to see it through to the end, or are you not that interested?
Well, I can finish it. One.
Alright. Then I'm going to skip this and we're going to move on to my least favorite stage of the game. Oh damn it, I picked the wrong option again. Saint Francis Folly.
Natla doesn't honor her contracts, Pierre. I'd move on if I were you.
No, mademoiselle. Natla and I understand each other. I find things for her, and she rewards me handsomely. But you see the very thing she does. That is why you are not trusted.
I trust my instincts.
And that is why you are in second place. I am a professional, mademoiselle. I focus on the job, and I get paid.
There's more to life than money, Pierre.
This isn't life, mademoiselle. It's business. Your compulsion prevents you from seeing the difference.
It hasn't prevented me from getting a piece of the skill. How's business for you?
Touché. So then, why don't we see whose compulsion gets them the next piece?
Okay, let's check out what this one has to say.
So originally, old Pierre, you just fight him here. He just runs out, starts gunning you down, basically. But we wanted to, well, first of all, make a character that was a little bit more interesting than just to shoot first and ask questions later. But we also wanted to sort of keep one of the aspects of Pierre that made him really interesting in the first game, I really liked about him anyway, which is that pretty much you had to fight him about 3 or 4 times throughout the level, and you'd shoot him loads and loads of times, and then he just suddenly decided, that's it, I'm running away, and he just, as soon as he went out of line of sight, he'd just vaporize, basically.
Which was a little cheap.
Yeah, so when we came to doing the remake, I was going, that's great! I love the way that he just like goes behind a pillar and vanishes, and everyone's going, no, it's rubbish, it's ridiculous, where does he go? So we actually decided to play on that in the cutscene and have him sort of be sort of this ninja guy who could be anywhere behind any pillar, potentially, and basically work that into the cutscene. One of the interesting things about the sequence of Lara going to Natla's office was how she went up the elevator shaft, because when we were looking at the sequence, it seemed like it was going to be pretty boring in the original game, you know, her just breaking into an office and going up, rifling through Natla's drawers. So we came up with this idea of her using the counterweight to fly up the lift shaft, and it's kind of interesting because I remember that basically that actually got sort of, you know, plagiarized. It's like, wait, no, not plagiarized. What's the word? It was homaged in the Matrix movie, which was pretty cool, actually. And then in remaking the office section, we decided to use that space to actually build a little bit more information on Natla, because we don't really get to see a lot of Natla. So we came up with this idea of, instead of Lara originally just read some kind of diary, she gets to look through Natla's
Video logs,
exactly, and we get a little bit of backstory both on Larson and Pierre, and it was an interesting way to sort of get more character going on without Lara having to sort of interact with them or change the sequences too much.
Okay. What is up with the camera now? Okay, so it's I and the sword for this one. Oh, okay. This puzzle is needlessly complicated when you're playing the PSP version, because there is no easy switch target button. What is up with the camera? It shouldn't be this far back. And for this one, it's hand, butt, legs. You're supposed to grab this. There we go. Now, a fun part that about this thing that I discovered only recently. You don't actually have to push it, you can just, like, shoot it down. So, just align the camera correctly and... Again, like, what is up with the camera? I don't remember it being this high up. I guess maybe they specifically set it up for this room because there is a lot of... There isn't really much up there, though. Damn it. Up. And up. I don't know how to make that jump so she doesn't, like, almost fall over. Maybe there is a different sequence to it, which I'm never using because this is just more efficient. Alright. And we lower ourselves a little bit. Oh yeah. I'm going to get killed soon anyway, so that doesn't really matter. Besides, because they don't keep my health items, I gotta be a little bit more scared. There. And on the PSP version, this whole tunnel goes way further down. I want to hear their excuse for this.
St. Francis Folly is, I would say, probably the second most recognizable area from Tomb Raider 1, other than the T-Rex Valley. St. Francis Folly is, I would say, probably the second most recognizable area from Tomb Raider 1, other than the T-Rex Valley. I think a lot of people really remember that sort of big vertical room and the climbing up the broken thing in the middle. So, I mean, we really wanted to sort of keep that feel when we redid it, and then just sort of make it more involved and sort of more challenging to the player this time. But essentially, it's pretty much unchanged. We even sort of went back and duplicated the textures from the original for like the floor panels in the middle because they're sort of so recognizable.
Yeah, I mean it was an interesting sort of goal with that area when we were, because it's quite common that game designers, even when they have a 3D vertical sort of space that they can play with, they tend to sort of end up just making long flat things anyway. So that particular area from the original game was just sort of, let's go as vertical as we possibly can and see what we can do with it. And it was great with Lara being so sort of easy to kill. It's such a frightening space to move through. And you know, as usual with Anniversary, everything is double the size now, so it's even more frightening looking.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about this. Yeah, so this place, it's so easy to die in this location, it's kind of hilarious. One misstep and you're falling all the way down. Okay, let's see. That's what it is. The object of this of this place is to open 4 doors and explore the locations that you open with them. But like the puzzle of it is like getting down without killing yourself. Thankfully, in this version, the checkpoints really make it so much less frustrating to actually play it. So yeah, this is, for example, one of those doors that I have yet to unlock over there. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh, this one I actually don't need to do. There we go. And then we go, whoops, and then that. Slide down there. Onion rings. And there is one more that we need to do, but it's we're like literally on top of it. Now the challenge is to get up and not get killed. Alright, so the first area we have we can visit is right over there. But is it the first one that's most convenient? No, that one is. All right. So here, there is this slightly tricky puzzle with the doors. They open with the spikes and whatnot, and then there is a timer going 1, 2, 3, and then you gotta jump at the third count Because if you don't, you just fall down. Oh damn it! Rats. If you don't jump on the count of 3, well, you don't get nowhere. And you shouldn't actually try to get through the doors because, well, that's literally a trap where you will fall. They will just squish you between those spikes. Eating this. Is there anything that I need to... Yes, there is a thing. This room is relatively safe compared to the rest of them, because unless you specifically jump on top of one of the platforms, there is no way to actually get hurt. And now that we have raised the water level, we can get over here. Lara, okay, she faced through the floor. That's fine. And there is also a second thing that we can do, which is to push this switch, which will bring up this raft. Okay. Now that we've done all that, we can try to push this block back into this fish's mouth, which is a lot more difficult than it seems. We got lucky this time. No, that's what I wanted to do. Push it in. There we go. Also push in this. Okay, we got lucky on that. Now I'm gonna try to not get myself killed. Normally I just jump all the way down there, but now I have barely any health and I almost finished this puzzle, so I don't want to repeat it. Especially since, because there is practically no danger here, they don't actually give you any checkpoints. There we go. I think I did it wrong. Dang it. Oh well, it will work the same way, regardless. Okay. What we need to do is we need to make sure that this is just the tiniest bit more further this way. Lara, could you like get underneath that? Yeah, great. And then get up on this. And just put it slightly this way. Yeah, this will do. this thing over here, we can actually get up to this place, which is where the key that we are looking for, because of course we're looking for keys, is located.
Neptune. Yeah, so originally the Neptune room was essentially just a hole in the floor with a little pool of water, wasn't it?
How dare you? No, like the goal with the Neptune area was to actually give people a sense of real claustrophobia underwater. So it was an extremely long shaft, and the moment you stepped into it, it sucked you all the way down to the bottom, and I wanted to get this feeling of like that terror of being, deep underwater and knowing that you can hardly swim back. So, because the draw distance on the original Tomb Raider, basically it faded to black after not very far, the cool thing about the Neptune room was that you get sucked down this hole so far that you can't, it's black above you. You can't even see the surface anymore. And it was that horror of being pulled down to your doom that I was trying to get with the Neptune room. And then basically you have to just find a switch, turn off the current and swim up just in the nick of time. But what did you guys do? It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so we took that original area where you get sucked down, and then we built an entire new room off the side of that. So instead of just pulling the switch and swimming back up, now you pull the switch and you go into an entirely new room themed around Neptune and water. Though, you know what, I just realized? We renamed this room.
What did you rename it to?
It's Poseidon.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, see, this goes back to originally Toby not knowing who the Greek and the Roman gods were.
It's not as bad a mistake as Thor, though, is it?
It's true. So while the original room was Neptune, this is now the Poseidon. So that it's the same god, just now it's appropriate to Greece.
Yeah.
So that works out fictionally better. But the room's still sort of all water-centric. And you just sort of swim around and do stuff, and get the thing, and then swim back up the hole.
You do.
Well, you still gotta swim back up. There's no doom Toby doesn't like.
But yeah, I didn't want to interrupt this, but I never liked climbing. Dang it. Oh yeah, right. I never liked climbing to this particular spot, ever. So, but I found out a way in which I don't have to do that, and that's how I do it since then. I just climb to a high enough spot, jump from it, and then I just recover the damage. So much more efficient. And I'm glad this game allows for shit like that. But yeah, in this case, the trap is actually broken. It doesn't have the strength to pull me all the way up. So you gotta use the stepping stone.
Damocles' room was basically, I mean, obviously his story is about having a sword sitting over his head. So the plan with the room was basically that you walk in and you see this like forest of swords hanging from the ceiling, and you think that's bad news. And then you pick your way through the room and actually nothing happens to you. But, you know, there's a prize at the end of the room and you just know what's going to happen when you take it. So it's kind of really building that expectation of when the swords come flying towards you like magic missiles.
That's right. We just sort of took that concept and ramped it up, and now we've got swords in the walls and swords in the floor. It's sword-tastic.
It dilutes a little bit the whole sword from the ceiling, though, which is the legend.
True.
And now we gotta run real quick. So, I actually really like this room. it's a lot of fun to get through it. It's also very deadly, as you would imagine. But there is a certain strategy that you can apply in order to sort of completely destroy any kind of like fear or any kind of threat that the swords pose to you. If Lara would ever like catch onto the thing that's above there, would be great. There we almost had it. There we go. But yeah, I love the commentary for this because yeah, like the creators are obviously huge nerds, and also the fact that they just straight up admit that yeah, we don't know shit about mythology. That's why there are mistakes. So, the way you destroy this puzzle, well, the intention, let's put it that way, is that you look up in the ceiling and you see where the swords are. So on this side there aren't any swords, but on the other side there is like a checkerboard full of swords, and you kind of sort of have to guess where they will actually like strike. But there is another way to get around it, which I will show in a moment. And that is to press the R2 button, which is walk, and you just walk. Nothing can actually, like, they are designed in such a way that they can only hit you if you run. So, by walking leisurely, very slowly, you break the puzzle. Because, you know, had they designed this around, like, avoiding it when running, yeah, the puzzle would be kind of, yeah, like, nobody would get hit because you always run in this game. But because they do it around something that you barely ever do, which is walking slowly, that is exactly what ruins it. And now we get up here. Whoops. But yeah, you can see where they already fallen off and where they're still waiting for us. Not that it really matters anymore. Lara, you... Okay. Okay, we gotta redo that part again. I guess I wasn't aiming at this accurately enough. Oh, I should also mention that this game does the thing that was very popular around the time where doing puzzles such as this one, where you like where you like are supposed to press a button or activate a switch or something like that. Previously, those sorts of puzzles were usually done by just you pressing the button and holding it. but because this was made in like 2007, they were already going away from that to make it more engaging, and so all of these kinds of puzzles are actually done by you holding the right side of the analog stick at any given moment, which I personally actually like a lot, because it does make it a lot less mindless to activate these sorts of things. You actually do have to, like, you know, pay attention and do an action that's appropriate to the given situation. It's more interactive that way. And why did I jump off? Okay, I didn't get hit. Okay, and now we can actually get around getting to the ones further up. But yeah, they specifically made this this whole shtick really windy. And that actually makes it a lot more interesting to explore that way. Okay. The next one is over there, and how we get there is actually from the very top. And then there is also that one. And how we get there is from here. How I'm gonna do it is like this. The wrong side, Lara, wrong side. There we go.
Hold on, my foot is here.
Oh, okay. Are you back? I guess not. I'll be back in just a moment.
I'm back. Hello? Yes.
Okay. I'm back as well. Now, this is a very tricky part because you can't really see this, but if you actually go down from this side over here, you will actually slide down because the geometry has, I guess, not been like arranged as well as it should have been, and you will just plummet to your death. So you gotta go to like the very edge. Oh, actually, I remember this one. We can't actually use this, so just gotta get around it this way. That one, on the other hand, if I were to jump on top of it, it would actually fall down on me instead. And here, we gotta push the buttons, all 4 of them, and I got hit by all of them. Okay, so I guess it doesn't count that I pushed the button if I got hit while doing that. There we go. Thankfully, when you're in the cutscene, it won't let you get hurt. Okay, and now... Come on, get in there. Grab it. Already good.
In the original, the idea of the 2 sections of the room was the first one was obviously just essentially sort of it was kind of really just basically a random death machine. So you had this checkered pattern on the floor, and you're supposed to sort of be able to, I think, tell where the next lightning bolt was supposed to come and then try and avoid that area. But in reality, you just had to run across as fast as you possibly could in case you get fried.
This is quality design. Random death.
Random death machine. Do you realize how much time we had? Anyway, so after the random death machine, the concept of the next room actually was, I like the idea of having to put yourself like into the most dangerous position you possibly get, right?
Right.
Where
Under the hammer.
You have to physically stand under the hammer and then wait for it kind of like to crank back and then drop, and you have to just run off at the last second. And that was particularly evil in the first one because Lara moved so slowly. She took so long to react to anything. So you kind of, it really made for the situation where you'd sort of stand on the pressure plate and then you kind of run off and go, oh, and it didn't trigger, and you go, oh, it's a little bit too much of a chicken that time, and you'd run back and go, woo, run off. Well, at least that's what I used to do anyway.
Yeah, in the original, you basically had to make use of the roll, but you had to do it in like such a specific spot to not get hit. It was cruel. Okay, I believe that the other side does actually work, so. Yeah, so you see it fell down when I was when I activated it. There we go. Now we only have one left, which is the one over there. Sadly, if I recall correctly, it's not as like. Well, I mean, I could actually try getting up there the getaway, as in trying to jump across it from a higher level. Let's give it like one try, because I have a checkpoint here anyway. Yeah, I think this could work. It's not like I'm gonna get to keep these. Well, and that was a broken neck and everything else. But I was close. I was close. Maybe just the tiniest bit higher, like from the rock that's next to it. Let's give it another go. Oops. Yeah, from that rock over here. I don't think that's the intention. I'm pretty sure it's not the intention. But well, I would die. I would have died from falling from that height anyway. So I guess that's the answer. Although maybe if I had health. Oh no, I had full health, so it was impossible for me to survive that. So there, can't do that way. Gotta get to the top. That was not what I wanted to do.
Nice.
Nice.
Good.
Good. This stage isn't actually as bad as I remember. I probably just have a bad memory of it, because I had to replay it so many times to get it perfectly for the recording. So when I don't actually have to worry about doing it flawlessly for the recording, it's actually a lot more fun. Okay, now. Ah. Let's see, can I do this? Yes, I can. Okay, and this one, if I recall correctly, is also broken, but in a different way. But only when you're coming back. So this one has this, you know, the pole, and well, we'll get to it. But I remember when I first played this game for the first and second time, I didn't actually do this puzzle correctly. I actually just broke the physics of the puzzle by constantly jumping up and down. The trap didn't work on me because I didn't fell for it.
This wasn't even a room in the first game. It was a hallway with a ball at the top.
We didn't even have time to actually build Atlas. The whole idea was that there'd be this statue with, you know, obviously the chap with the big rolling ball, which was one of the small number of actual generic tools we could use to make our puzzles, and have it sitting on his back and textured like the world. We just didn't have time to do any of that, so we just had the ball at the top of a ramp. Left the rest of it to people's imaginations.
That's right. So now we've actually been able to build Atlas.
Woo!
Yeah, so that's good. And there he is, and he rolls the ball down, essentially. The theme is the same. We just sort of added the added difficulty of having a pit at the end. In the original, you just sort of hid behind a ledge and let the ball roll over you, didn't you?
No, that was the same. It was basically you had to drop down into the pit.
Yeah.
Let the ball roll over the top of you because it would fly over the top.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So you made it a bit more complicated.
It's a tad bit more complicated, but thematically identical. Except we actually have a statue.
Yes.
You can give yourself some extra time by doing it at the edge of targeting distance. Otherwise, it's like if you don't get it on the first attempt with the swing, as in like if you don't attach yourself and immediately jump off from the swing, the ball will crush you. And also, when it comes to what they were talking about, how it worked in the first game, it was super annoying because what you had to do, what you basically had to do was do the the thing that made the least sense, which was to attach yourself to a ledge that was and basically, like they said, let the ball run over you. You just had to like it was weird. But yeah, now that these holes were broken, they won't create another set, so we just had to solve the puzzle a different way. But yeah, this is the one which is also broken. I want to see if I can actually break it the same way as I did the first time I played the game. So unlike all of the other ones, this one doesn't actually have a proper timer ticking. It will just detach the moment that you let go of it. But if you're fast enough, or lucky enough, or I don't know, if you detach yourself as it's climbing, I believe, as it's still climbing, like, that was not my intention. But now I will stop doing it. I believe I broke it by just constantly jumping, and I made a small enough jump that I managed to fall down before it started falling for real, and that's how I did it. Okay, and now we just gotta make our way back down, which is not going to be as difficult. Let's see. We're already there.
It appears that 4 keys are needed to open the large door at the bottom of the room.
Thanks for the insight. Okay, and that will be it for today. The next time we'll do the rest of Greek stages, and we'll we'll see what happens later. Thank you for watching.